This is Module 3, Lesson 2. We're talking about avoiding pitfalls within your lease. So what is the first thing that a new orthodontist should do before signing a lease?
Have your attorney look at it. You got to have your attorney look at it, and you're going to have a broker. The broker is going to be the person that helps you find the spot and will also help you negotiate the lease terms. But you also want to have your attorney look at it. You want to know your true obligations, what you're paying for, what you're not paying for, what is your responsibility, what's not your responsibility. I think that one of the biggest pitfalls is falling for the trap of, this is our standard agreement. That's what they always say. This is our standard agreement. Well, I hate to hear that, because it's not a standard agreement if my name is at the top.
Yep.
Once my name goes up there, it becomes a custom agreement, right? It is now a agreement between me and you. So everything in there is negotiable.
Yep.
So if they say that it's not, it's because they don't want to,
Yep.
right? But the reality of it is. So don't fall for that fallacy. Just keep pushing and get something that's more in favor for what you want.
And realize that you being a orthodontic practice, you have staying power. So when you are, having those discussions, I'm going to be a tenant for 15 years, 20 years. You're going to have continued, and you're going to have to worry about any of that money, where you might have a vape shop go in there that would be out in 6 months.
You're 1,000% correct. And then not only that, but you're also bringing clientele into that space that is a good clientele, right? And so that's another thing that you have a little bit of leverage with. Not only are you going to be there for a while, you're also going to kind of improve the community and bring the community into this facility.
So we talked last lesson about, bringing on someone in to help you with that. And I think that's super important, but I want to go too deep on that. But let's talk about some lease types. What are the differences between a triple net lease and a gross lease?
Triple net is basically you're paying for everything in proportion to the space you occupy. Right. So if that's maintenance for the whole entire property, they're going to take your square footage and calculate that. And then same thing with taxes as well. So one thing that people fail to understand is when taxes go up, your proportion of that bill also goes up as well.
So would that be like rent escalation?
So rent escalation is that just basically every year your rent goes up.
Okay.
And normally it falls around 2 or 3%. You can negotiate that down to 1%. You can negotiate that to be a fixed rate. It's just what position you are as far as your leverage, how in demand is this particular place, and how good your negotiation skills are.
Yeah. And again, going to that point where you're going to be a long-term tenant, it's guaranteed money, and people love guaranteed money.
That's right.
So why would you ask for money to help your build out?
Yeah, so tenant improvement dollars is what you're talking about. And what that does is that takes some of the burden away from you. And the reason they do that is because you're actually improving their space. So they're going to give you a percentage. Now, that's also negotiable. You can say, hey, I want $75,000 of tenant improvement dollars. And they'll say, okay. And sometimes they may pay it directly to your contractor. Sometimes they may write you a check for it. Sometimes they'll work it into different things. They may give you a prorated rent or something like that. You can also do that same thing with saying, hey, I'll take less tenant dollars, but give me some free rent. Right? So do whatever makes sense for you and your practice, but make sure that you get something.
Yeah. Don't just sign.
That's right.
Again, it's not a standard agreement. So let's talk about avoiding some common pitfalls. What is a personal guarantee, and why can it be risky?
I always try to avoid those personal guarantees because it's a business, right?
Yeah.
And so what they're basically asking you to do is if the business were to default on the loan, or the business were to default on paying the tenant back, they want you to personally guarantee that. That means that you'll go out and figure out how to get the money by yourself as an individual. I don't like that because all of the funding to all of these things is based off the business, right? So personally, you don't want to be obligated. So I do everything I can to avoid doing that. Sometimes you can't get around it, but for the most part, I've been very successful in saying no. And they just always say, okay. It's the wildest thing because it's negotiation.
Yeah.
And so some of the banks will say, we have to have a personal guarantee. Some of them will say we want a collateral of some type. For the tenants, you can normally get by without having a personal guarantee.
Yeah. So it's, try to negotiate out.
You should definitely try to negotiate it out.
What are some hidden fees that people should be aware of when they're signing a lease?
Yeah, I think the escalation clause is one of those. So your base rent goes up every year. Also think that, if taxes go up or the property gets reappraised, sometimes those will go up as well. And then you also have to be careful. Sometimes if this other spaces aren't occupied, you have to take on that chunk too, right? So there's a world that if you are the only person in the building in a multi-unit place, that you may have to pay for all the common area maintenance. You may have to do all of those things. Those are just really tricky things that they may try to throw in there. So you want to make sure that you have somebody look at that to make sure you protect yourself.
So don't just sign quickly. Like being hungry is one thing, but being foolhardy is another thing.
That's right. That's right. And you want to stay level-headed. At the end of the day, do not get emotional about this. Do not get emotional about a location. Do not get emotional about any of those things. 'Cause I promise you, this is a business. And at the end of the day, if you get emotions in your business, it's going to make you make a bad decision that you're going to either regret or feel some type of way for a long time.
And I think one of the smartest things to realize that the contract is always going to be in the person that wrote the contract's favor and not your own.
That's right. That's right.
So let's hit real quick use clause. Why does it matter for offering future services?
Yeah, so it depends on if you don't have a usage clause of how you can use the space, or maybe they do have one, and it says that you can't operate in a way that you want to add a new service. That would really hinder your growth ability, right? And typically you see that a little bit more with medical stuff. If you get that clause out of there, or just say that, hey, I want to be able to do this huge range of stuff, then it actually protects you in the future.
Okay.
And I think the only other thing I want to add is exclusivity. If you can have exclusivity rights to your property, that you are the only orthodontist, dentist, or if they want to put another dentist in there, you get to approve them. Cherry on top.
I know an orthodontist, she opened hers, and this was right at COVID, and then the developer put an orthodontist 2 doors down from her.
I believe it.
So they are out for themselves.
Yep.
Protect yourself.
Yep. Sometimes they don't even know. They don't even know. And so in my case, I have like the whole entire block. Which is kind of neat, but it's something that you if you get in there early enough and you have leverage, you can ask for that.
Awesome. Well, that is this lesson. We'll see you on the next one.